Y'all, welcome back to the cookie jar. We are doing the 5th recipe from the Lemon Meringue Pie Murder. It is the praline charlottes with the praline frosting. So it is quite a bit of pages. Like 4 or 5 pages. The thing I hate the most is that they have half ingredients in one section and half the ingredients in another. So you really have to double check to make sure you have everything. But for the cookies themselves, you are going to want 1.5 cups of melted butter, 3 sticks, 1.5 cups of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1 teaspoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt, decreased to ½ teaspoon if you use salted pecans, 1.5 cups finely ground pecans, grind them up in your food processor with the steel blade and measure after grinding. I love that it tells you after grinding. It's so confusing when they'll say something like ground pecans, but like, do I measure them before or after? I don't know. 2 beaten eggs, just whip them up with a fork. 3 cups of flour, no need to sift. And once again, even though it says ground pecans and even how to measure them, in the ingredients it says, microwave the butter in your mixing bowl. Grind the pecans in the food processor. Like, if it literally says it in the ingredients, why is it saying it in the list of what to do? I don't understand that. It does say to chill the dough if it's too sticky. You are flattening them with a crisscross pattern. We all know that's my favorite. Let's see. And then for the frosting, you're going to want 3/4 cups of butter, 1.5 sticks, 3.5 cups of powdered sugar, not sifted, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, or 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla and ½ teaspoon of maple flavoring. That personally is what I want to try today. 1/3 cup of cream, ½ cup finely chopped pecans, and approximately 6 dozen pecan halves for decoration, optional. It does say approximately 8 dozen, depending on cookie size, and it does have a note. These cookies unfrosted make a delicious tea cookie with a light, delicate flavor. The only changes you have to make are to roll the dough balls smaller and press them down with the heel of your impeccably clean hand. Bake them for about 8 minutes or until the edges begin to turn golden. Andrea says they're excellent with hot chocolate. We will be frosting ours today. Everything for both recipes is laid out in the kitchen, so let's get in there and get started. So here's everything we're going to need for the cookies. And then right here is the stuff we'll need for the frosting. Okay, so the first thing we have is our melted butter in our mixing bowl. And to this, we are going to add the 1.5 cups of brown sugar, as well as our 2 teaspoons of vanilla. We are actually preheating the oven to 350. So this is going to bake right away. Okay, so our butter and our sugar and our vanilla mixture is blended. To this, we are adding the 1.5 teaspoons baking soda, the teaspoon of baking powder, as well as the teaspoon of salt. So next, we're adding in our 1.5 cups of the finely ground pecans. Our 2 beaten eggs. It kind of smells like the topping for a German chocolate cake, just without the coconut. Next thing going in is our 3 cups of flour. And it just says to add that in, not to measure it out or add it in sections or anything like that. So, in it goes. So it does say to let this firm up for a few minutes. It also says that if it's too sticky, you can chill it for a few minutes and try again. But I forgot to preheat my oven, so that still has a few minutes to go anyway. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the sides of the bowl and make sure everything's scraped up, and then I'm going to pop it in the fridge until the oven is preheated. And that gives it the best of kind of both worlds in a way. Still gets to sit for a couple of minutes, and it also gets chilled for a few minutes. Here's a shot of the dough. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to pop this in the fridge until the oven is preheated. It probably won't be more than 3 minutes, maybe 5 at the most, but we will see. We have our greased cookie sheets or the nonstick mats. The first thing we're going to do is take our scooper or whatever you're using, roll it into a ball, pop it down. Now, I'm not sure how perfect these need to be because we are crisscrossing them. These feel very greasy, and with the pecans being ground so fine, I don't think there should be a problem getting them to crosshatch. I hope. That is my hope. Okay, I just thought of something. What is the point of cross-hatching these if we're icing them? Why are we doing both? Now, ordinarily I would say, oh, it's because of the instructions for not icing them, but it's not in the instructions not to ice them. And here is our first batch. Okay. So I'm just going to roll up the rest, cross-hatch them, and we will see how many we get. All right, we are done with the cookies. We ended up with 69 of them. That's almost 7 batches. These are going to go in a 350 oven for 8 to 10 minutes, cool on the sheets for 2 minutes, and then go on the wire racks until they are completely done. Here are all of the cookies out of the oven. I'm just going to let them sit here until they're completely cooled, move them to wax paper, and then start the frosting. For the frosting, we're going to start by melting this butter until it is brown. It says the shade of peanut butter under medium heat. I think under the bubbles, it is getting to be a shade of peanut butter. And it is starting to smell nutty. I don't know if I should pull this off now or if I should give it another minute. Yeah, I'm going to pull it off. I don't want it to burn. So what we're going to do now that we have this off of that, turn the oven off for starters. Okay, the 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla. And the 1/2 teaspoon of the maple. Now it says to add in the powdered sugar and the cream and the pecans. So there is our 3.5 cups of powdered sugar, our 1/3 cup of cream, and our 1/2 cup of finely chopped pecans. Now we just stir this up until well mixed, but don't let it cool completely, it says. Now it says just to frost the cookies and place 1 whole pecan on top for decoration. It says just to spread it like butter. It doesn't have to be all the way to the edges. If the frosting hardens, put it in a microwave-safe bowl and heat it for 30 seconds to a minute until it softens. It also says to let them rest after icing for at least an hour before storing in a cookie jar or other closed container. I think because it says that they take an hour to finish, I'm going to wait until I have them iced, and then I'll put the pecan on top, just because maybe I'll have extra icing and I'll want to add more on top. And if that's the case, I'd rather be able to do that. And if I put the pecans on top now, I won't be able to. So I don't know if a praline charlotte is a real thing, because I know, like, we have black forest cookies and carrot cake cookies and red velvet cookies. I don't know what a praline charlotte is, but if I had to guess, I'm going to assume it's some kind of caramely pecan thing, because that's what this recipe has made me think of the name praline charlotte. Now, if anybody actually knows, please feel free to put it in the comments. I would like to actually know. More curiosity for what I'm making. Okay, so I lied. These are actually starting to harden already. So I'm actually gonna get these nuts put in before it's too late. And I can't get them to stick into the icing. So I just want to take a quick second. So after all the cookies are iced, this little tiny amount is all that's left. So I feel like it works out pretty well. And I feel like I gave them a pretty good coating. I don't feel like any of them are skimping. There we go. Here are the finished cookies. So we are done. These are the praline charlotte. That is tasty. It's got that browned butter, nutty, pecan-y, just the right amount of sweet frosting on this cookie, which, see if I can. The cookie itself is really good. It's moist. It's almost biscuity, which they say it's a tea cookie if you leave it by itself. So it's a really good mixture of both. I did not know what to expect making these. I didn't even think I'd like them, really. But these are actually really good. I recommend making these, actually. I do not foresee these making it. I don't. I foresee these being gone before the end of the weekend. These are amazing. Oh my gosh, I just want to eat like the whole batch. There's something about these cookies. They're almost addicting. I like these. As I've practically eaten the whole cookie. If I will say one thing about these cookies, as many videos as I've done now, I have never finished a cookie while filming. This is the first one that I have not been able to resist eating the whole thing, if that says something about that. Next week, we are doing the mystery cookies. It is the actual name of the recipe is mystery cookie. Now, if I remember right from my reading of the books, there are several different types of these. There's one that has tomato soup. There's one that has potato flakes. Those are the two off the top of my head. I do not know which it's going to be. And obviously, I'm going to have to know because I'm going to have to get the ingredients to make it. But it is, drumroll please, the tomato soup. Oh no. I'm scared. I'm scared of the tomato soup mystery cookies. They're either be so good or so bad. And if you want to see me make a horrible face or a face, join us next week for those. Have a good week, guys. Bye.